Welcome to Traumas, Trials, and Triumphs, where we delve into the raw, real stories of individuals who have faced life's darkest trials only to emerge triumphant. Today, we're joined by Althea, who, like me, lost her mother as a young child. In this deeply personal episode, we're talking about how that loss has shaped and impacted us in our lives, how it molded our past, influenced our growth, and ultimately, how we found the strength in the face of such profound grief. So settle in as we share our stories and explore the journey from pain to healing. I would like to welcome Althea to our podcast today. How are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I'm doing good. I appreciate that you wanted to come and share your story with everybody, and I know that it can be a sensitive subject, so I appreciate you coming on here to share that story and your feelings and your dig deep in those emotions to get to help others with our story. That would be my goal. So can you tell me a little bit like what happened? Like what age were you when you lost your mom?
I was 13. She was on kidney dialysis. She had started getting kidney failure in 2001, so she was, by the end of 2001, she was on dialysis. And she was on it for about 5 years. And her body just gave up.
Yeah, that's a long time to fight. You got to give her credit. She really, that's a long time to be sick. I'm so sorry to hear. I can't imagine. I lost my mom at 15. I lost my mom to domestic violence, and I was 15. So I can't imagine watching my mom have to fight for her life. That's a whole different, I just feel like it would be really hard to watch somebody suffer and go through the pain of like fighting like that. Do you remember how you felt during the time of like while your mom was fighting?
The day that she passed, I remember it was like it was yesterday. It was a Wednesday, November 22nd, a day before Thanksgiving. My grandfather knocked on me and my sister's door because my sister was 16 and I, of course, was 13. So we could stay at the house by ourselves. He banged on the door and said, "We got to get to the hospital." And because my mom is asking for my grandmother, which is her mother. And we got to the hospital. My mom was sweet because they said they just put her down because she was so restless. And they couldn't really calm her down. So they had to give her some medicine to make her go to sleep. So I never got to say goodbye to my mom. So that pain still sits with me. I'm trying not to get so emotional about it because now that I'm older, it hurts even more because when I need her more now, I don't have her. And my mom went cold blue 6 or 7 times. They revived her and they said, she'll never be the same. She was already sick. Her kidneys was already gone. They failed or whatever. And she needed a liver transplant. And they said they needed to do operation, but she was too weak. And I remember her doctor was called after she had passed, and he was like, "Why y'all didn't call me? She had her daughters, and that's all that she had. And she said she can't die because her daughters need her." And he's like, "Y'all could have called me. I could have figured out something." He's like, "I would have dropped everything for this woman because all she has is 2 daughters, and her daughters don't have nobody." And that pain sticks with me now because I was talking to my friend about it, and it hurt so bad because me and my sister, we were young, and we had to move the next day. We moved to Atlanta, a big change. But just reliving that day in the hospital is painful. We're at the chapel, we were praying, and they kept saying cold blue over the intercoms because they're trying to rush to take care of my mom and bring her back to life for me and my sister. And my sister went in the room for the last time, and she was like, "Mom, I know you're tired and you did enough. You can go." And then after that, the monitors beeped and my sister said, don't touch her. Just let her go. It's so hard because I remember the nurses came to me and my sister and said, "Your mom loved y'all." And I'm trying to hold it together. And all I can think about that day when I was talking to the lady that was telling us about our mom, I was like, "I have an uncle." She's like, "Your mom is dying and, just let her go." I said, "No, I have an uncle who has money. And he would pay to keep her alive on the machine." She's like, "Because the machine is keeping her alive." And I was like, "No, it doesn't matter. He has money. You can keep her alive. And I thought maybe I was being so selfish. But even looking back on it, I wish that my family would have did that for her. But it wouldn't help because she was gone even when we got there. I never got to say goodbye to her because even when she was in the hospital, she was not in her right mind because the dialysis was not working anymore. And they were trying so hard to keep her alive. And she wasn't in my mom anymore. She was gone. She had been gone. And the day we got to the hospital that she passed, I didn't get to say goodbye. She was asleep because they put her down to rest. And I don't even know the last day I had a conversation with her, really, when she was still in her right mind. So that pain still sits with me to this day. That's why I tell people all the time, it's okay. I don't I don't get goodbyes. It's okay because my mom left me. So I'm kind of used to that. I don't get those goodbyes. And it's really a trigger for me. And I don't wish that on my worst enemy. But
I can understand exactly what you mean. Like that not being able to say goodbye or have any last words or anything, it just leaves so many things undone. And it's just it's a pain that's something I lived with too. I was like, I didn't ever get to say goodbye. Like she was just gone. Like there was no notice. There was no preparing. There was no nothing. It was just like one day she was there and one day they were just telling me she was gone. And then your
wow,
whole life just feels so losing your mom, especially at that age. I remember now when I look back, it's just like I feel like my whole life just was never the same again. It just felt different. Life just felt different. I feel like I've never been the same since that day. And it's crazy. I can literally remember that day, just like how you described it. I can literally just vividly describe the day I found out that my mom wasn't here anymore. It's just imprinted in my brain. So I completely understand that part of it too. What was your relationship like with your mom before she passed?
man, I tell everybody because she was the third children out of 7 kids. And my mom was amazing. You can ask any of my cousins or anything. They don't have to fake it. They'll be like, your mom was straight up the best mom. She loved on me. She loved on me and my sister. Because I slept with my mom up until I was 13 years old. So that was pain. So from sleeping with my mom in the room with her to not sleeping in the room with her, no, that hurt me. I still have the teddy bear she got me. I still got the snow globe she bought me that year for Valentine's Day, the same year she passed. I still have stuffed animals. I still have her jewelry box. My mom was the best. I'm not even fronting for anybody else. That's why it hurts me so bad when people's like, I don't have a good relationship with my mom. I'm like, dang, my mom was the greatest. She was. I mean, she had flaws, but she did the best she could do. And she told her family so much. I'm holding on for my daughters. I'm holding on for my girls because those are my girls. And it hurts so bad because I want to have kids one day and I want to be just like her. It- It's just bad that she won't be here when I do finally have kids one day because she was a good mom and I want to be just like her.
That's awesome. And you are going to be just like her, an amazing mother. I can tell just by the person I've gotten to know. Something you had said that I want to touch back on that people don't understand. I hear a lot of time where when people pass, they're like, oh, they say it'll get better with time. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. In fact, it gets worse sometimes because you sit back and you see all these things that they're missing. My mom, for instance, she has 16 grandkids. She only, she only met one. And my kids have zero. Like, I've tried to tell my kids about my mom. And I've always had pictures up and I've always, kind of idolized my mom. And let me just say, my mom was a good person. She had a good heart, but my mom made a lot of mistakes and it took me a long time to realize, and it took me when I got an adult and I stopped and I started learning about my own trauma, that my mom had her own trauma. She had her own issues. She wasn't raised with the best mother herself, and she was doing the best that, she could with the cards that she was dealt. She wasn't the greatest mom. She had 4 of us, and she didn't really raise most of us, or she didn't really raise any of us. All the other kids had dads, so they all went to their dads, and I was like the odd man out, so I just had to kind of figure out life. And a lot of time, like, I hated my mom for some years. When even before she died, like, I was that rebellious teenager because where have you been? So it's like before my mom died, our relationship was okay, but it wasn't like peaches and cream. It was like the normal teenage, I wasn't even living at home when my mom died at that point. And I still find myself lost in the world and like lost looking back. Like, I wish she was here. Like, I wish she was here to see my kids. And I wish she was here to, meet her great grandkids. And I wish she was here for birthdays and Christmases and all these years that she's missed. And now I've published a book and I have my podcast and I'm really trying to do something with my life. And it's like, she's not here to celebrate these things. She's not here to see me become all I've become. She just only got to see me as this rebellious teenager. So it does get harder, I feel, sometimes in some ways as it goes. How would you describe your grief journey? Did it change as you grew older?
It did, because I remember, I think I was in ninth grade. Yeah, I was in ninth grade. And a young guy, that's why I talk about stuff I've been talking about a lot. And I've been used, and people don't like me. And that's fine. That is. And he was like, if people really knew your story and what you've been through out here, they'll take it easy on you. I thought, I don't want nobody to feel pity for me. Never.
I feel
Because
that.
what I've been through, it's helped me. Even as I'm older, it does help me.
Mm-hmm.
And my journey, it hit hard when I was a senior. And I see everybody's mom coming up there. And my aunt came. And me and my aunt never had a good relationship. I won't say her name. But she told me when I was 13, my mom had been deceased about a couple weeks. Or probably, no, it wasn't even a couple weeks. It was a couple days. She said, your mom died because you worried her to death. And I was like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
And who would want to hear that at a young age? Because they hated how my mom baked and how she had me up under her. Because I'm just like my mom. And you can ask any of my cousins, they'll be like, Althea, well, I go by Janelle because that's my middle name. But they'll be like, she's just like Rose. That's my mom's name, LaRose. And I have so many of her ways, like, when it comes to dressing up, looking pretty. And over the years, it's actually went down to the point where I had to, I'm back at the point of loving myself, because it's hurting so much, because my mom was telling me, you're beautiful, you're this, you're that. And sometimes I say, am I really beautiful? Was she really saying that because I was her daughter? Did she protect me because she knew I was just like her and I'll get hurt like her? And I'm just like, why does she shelter me so much that this is hurting me now, that I'm getting used by people and thinking people are my friend, but she was protecting me. And I thought, well, now I get to do this because she's gone, and I get to do that. I get to hang with people. No, she was protecting me.
Mm-hmm.
So the journey after she's passed, it's been a big lesson. It really has. It has really, it's hurt a lot of things in my life, but I see a lot clearer. So
I understand
it's
that.
it's just a lot, to be honest.
See, and as I got older, I think what got a little easier was my grief changed a little bit. Like, I went from being super angry and just, I feel like I've learned how to, I guess, live with the pain and live with, I don't think that it gets better with time. I think that we just learn to live with it better. Do you feel like when you expressed your grief, did you feel like you expressed it differently at different ages? Or were there any like outlets for you or anything like that?
Well, when my mom first passed, actually, they thought I was going to take it hard. I did, but I kind of masked the pain, and it was kind of like the morning after she had passed. Okay, so it's Wednesday, so it's Thursday. So you're right, my grandfather's house. And I'm just like, no, because I don't know what to feel. And my sister's sitting there crying. And I'm just like, I don't know. Because I'm going to say this. My sister and my mom always was bumping head. And my sisters had said some words to my mom before in the past or whatever. And she was more emotional and she was out with it. Me, I'll go sit in the room and cry because I'm gonna tell you this. When you cry, sometimes people don't even know how to embrace you because you can see somebody sitting there crying and some people rush over and hug them and be there for them. And some people will just sit there and let you cry or walk past you. And I was the type of person, even with down to the planning of the funeral. My family, they didn't ask me at all. They asked her because she was older. And I said, yeah, because she was older. And my family, I would say, they loved my sister more than they loved me. And it's okay because they said, okay, now Rose is dead. Now we can really take care of your sister, like, better because your mama babied you and she was harder on your sister. So we can really give you tough love and you're going to be okay. But it wasn't. I needed somebody to be like my mom and I couldn't get it. I tried so many times thinking people would be like my mom, like, oh, I'm like your second mom. That's why people say I'm your second mom. I'm like, I got to think about that because every time I let somebody come in, they show me exactly why my mom was one of a kind and there's no one like her.
Right.
So and people like, it was a lot.
I feel that too about like the funeral stuff because when my mom passed, I actually had gotten, because I was the only kid that was like close to my mom at that point. Like my brothers were living off in Alaska and my sister was, that's another story for another podcast. But I had gotten like a bag out of her truck and I had gotten her cell phone, and in the bag had like some of her personal belongings and jewelry and things like that. And I was the baby out of my mom's 4 kids, and everybody came into town and they all went to my mom's friend's house out in Dallas. And basically I wasn't allowed any say so. I wasn't allowed to pick anything. They literally took everything that I had that belonged to my mother from me. I wasn't even allowed to be like, "Hey, I want this song played at her service." Like I had no voice. And I had nothing by the time I left after those 2 days. They took everything that belonged to my mother from me, and I just remember getting dropped off back in town and feeling less than I did before I left, because they literally took every single thing that belonged to my mother that I had. So it was like I felt like I had nothing left of her. So siblings that do that because they're the oldest, I think something needs to change with that, because I don't think just because you're the oldest sibling, you should be able to just automatically just cut everybody else out in having any type of voice in, planning or anything when it comes to a parent. Because at the end of the day, they're parents to all of us, not just the oldest.
I agree with that.
And I also feel like I agree with like the isolation in your grief, because one thing I hated, I don't know if you did, I hated people when they were like, "Oh, I understand. I'm so sorry." First of all, stop saying you're sorry. You feel sorry for me. And second of all, you don't understand. Have you went through it? If you haven't went through it, then please don't tell me you understand, because you cannot understand what I'm going through unless you went through what I went through. Find something else to say. Don't say you understand, because that always just felt like a slap in my face. So I just would rather stay isolated than connect with anybody through my grief as well. How did the loss affect your experience in school?
Well, I changed school. Because my mom actually, we was going to a private school and she started homeschooling us before she passed. Her family was against it again because she had homeschooled us before she had got sick in 2001 because she was starting to get sick and she was trying to figure out what was going on and her kidneys were failing and she didn't know. So she was homeschooling us and she got really, really sick. And they was like, Rose, they need to be in school, especially Janelle, and it's just crazy. And I'm just like, my mom wants us there. And people, even to this day, they'll make jokes, be like, oh, yeah, your mom should have had y'all in school instead of in homeschool. And then, I'd be quick to jump to the fence like, no, we're not just sitting here talking about mom, because this was the same woman y'all used to come calling at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning to pray for you, because my mom was a praying person. So, yeah, they were the same people. And I said, we're not going to sit here and say that, because one thing about it, I get real ignorant about my mom.
Yeah, me too.
So I had to go to school in Atlanta. And I'm going to go ahead and say it was rough because, mind you, I had only been around certain type of kids before I moved up here. I was around a lot of, me and my sister were with Caucasian kids. And like 2 or 3 years before he passed, because we changed church because we went to a white people church. Until about 2 or 3 years before my mom passed, we started going to a black people church. And I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't care. I didn't like that church. I didn't care. I wanted to go back to my church. I didn't want since I was a little girl. But we moved to Atlanta. I learned a lot about a lot of people. I learned that people are not your friends just because they smile in your face. That I'm your friend, Althea. I'm here for you. And I could tell you so many stories. I used to call my uncle because my mom's brother got legal guardianship of me and my sister, him and his wife and his daughter. And I used to call him faking because I wanted to go home because I did not like the school. And the things I went through at the house and just pain and just how strict my uncle was because we were not used to living with a male figure. Because my parents got divorced when I was like 3 or 4. So my uncle was strict. He had us working out, very strict. We couldn't do certain things. We couldn't wear certain things. It was just so much. And then going to school, I learned that, hey, school is my scapegoat. So I started liking school again. And I started being okay with it. But I was friends with people that were not my friends, and they were using and talking about me, and it was just so much. I got bullied. I didn't tell nobody. Well, not an adult. I told my sister and I told my cousin, and it was but going to school was that scapegoat for me. It really was. Even though I went through a lot at school, but it was a scapegoat for me. So looking back on it, it really it cleared my mind. I went through a lot in school, but it was a scapegoat for me. It really was.
See,
I could be myself, and I didn't have to. I don't have nobody do this and do that. You're doing that wrong. If this is not gonna fly, you're in trouble. You're gonna get this. So I had a teacher. She knew my pain. She was like, well, she didn't lose her mom, but she was there. She said, I can see it. She said, you're a sweet girl. You have a beautiful spirit. She was always nice. She was always encouraging. And even to this day, we're still friends on Facebook, and she still encourages me. And I just really needed that. So.
See, now mine after my mom died, you might laugh. So before my mom passed, she actually was volunteering at my high school. I used to skip school a lot. That was my thing. I used to skip school. And I skipped so much school that they called my mom in for a meeting, and they were like, hey, you either come volunteer at the school to try to keep your child in class, or we're going to fine you $100 for every class she skips. So when my mom came to me and was like, hey, they just came and said, la-di-da-di-da, I was like, okay, well, I guess you better lace your shoes up and come to the school and get your volunteer badge, because I can't, I'm not making no promises, There's a lot let me just say, there was a lot that I went through as a kid that made me have the anger that I had at that point in my life with my mom. So it was like my mom wasn't in my life for a lot of years. I didn't move back in with my mom until December of 99. I think I was like 12, maybe 13. It was like right before my 13th birthday. And so I was kind of like, well, you haven't been here this whole time. Now I'm a teenager. Now you want to tell me what to do. Like, you should have been telling me what to do my whole life. So, whatever. So my mom was actually working at my school, at the high school, when she got killed. And everybody loved her. All my friends loved her. All the staff loved her. And I remember them trying to work with me after her death and saying, hey, come to school the first part of the day, and then you could just go home. But let's just be real. I didn't have a home. When my mom got killed, shout out to my no good ass family. None of them stepped up. None of them took me in. It was let's leave Miranda on the streets. I was literally like an orphan. No, not like an orphan. I was an orphan. The state didn't step in and take me in. My family, none of them were even like, hey, we have a couch you can rest your head on. It was just, I was left to the elements of the streets, and that's just what it was. And so I fell into my addiction. That was my escape. School was not my escape. My escape was crystal meth and getting high. And I was like, forget school. And freshman year was it. And after my mom was killed, I didn't go back. I did obtain my GED later on in life, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't be there. I would, looking, just even walking through the hallways, she had been there. And then everybody's looking at me, and feeling sorry for me, whispers, and, don't nobody want to deal with that. So I quit. How do you feel like losing your mom shaped your sense of self? Did it influence your goals or your aspirations?
I know where I should be. I'll be honest with you. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be a model. Man, I had so many dreams because before she passed, I wanted to be an architect. And I told her I was going to be one because I wanted to build her a big, beautiful house that she could come live in. I've had like a lot of setbacks. I'm not going to sit here in front. I'm not really proud of the things I'm doing in life. I wish I was, more, active. And my friend always tells me, she was like, girl, you're living. Like you tell me you're living.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get there. I used to love to write. I go up and down with writing. I'm not going to sit here in front. I really wish I was more, active. Like, I wish I would have finished college. I did graduate from high school, but of course, they had a Georgia high school graduation test, and I actually didn't pass by only like 2 sections. So I had to go to a school to get my diploma. So my diploma is not from Georgia; it's actually from Illinois. So I started school like a year after I graduated. I took a year off. Then I went to school and I was going to school online, and I wasn't very happy. I was depressed and just going through the motions of life, and people don't understand. And I'm just trying to, focus on what people are saying. And it still even affects me now. And I'm just like, okay, I'm 31. I need to do something. I need to move back. I'm not married. I don't have no kids. And I want that. But I still, am I going to be old? Am I never have kids? And my friend was like, girl, you're still young. Enjoy your life. I was like, I don't know. I'm not really happy sometimes. Because I'm like, I should be doing more. I should be doing this. And it's just a lot. It's a lot, sis. It really is. And I'm just trying to get through it and wrap my head around everything. So
No, I feel that. I literally just sat on my book for over 2 years. It was done. I just sat on it until I finally just recently published it, which to everybody that's listening, if you go on Amazon and find Don't Run by Miranda Stewart, I just published my first book. That would be awesome. And I just want to say, like, you're not you have a lot of life left. Like, one thing about me is I sat back and I feel like I wasted a lot of my years too, but I also feel like now that I'm putting my foot to the pedal and I'm making all these different changes, like, it changes overnight. You might not be doing something today, but you could be doing something tomorrow. So we'll have to work on that. I'll be talking to you more about that later. With Can you, like, share a moment when you felt particularly resilient in the face of your grief? Any time in particular? And was there any turning points in your journey where you felt a shift in how you viewed your loss? Like me, I haven't found that shift of how I view my loss. I feel like my mom died for a pointless ass reason. I feel like she was murdered because of a selfish ass man and the thought process of, if I can't have you, no one else can either, which included her family, her kids, her grandkids, her great grandkids. To me, there's been no shift in how I view my loss. I feel like it was a pointless loss. My mother's life was robbed and stolen, and she was stolen from people that really truly needed her. I'm almost 40 years old and I still need her. And, like, my resilience, I feel like when I got out of prison and I became a mom and I started really rocking being a mom, and, you know, I think lately I feel more resilient. I feel like I'm turning my pain into power. I feel like I'm trying to turn my pain into purpose. And I think right now in my life is when I feel the most resilient. So that kind of leads back to you don't feel like you're doing enough now, but you really can. And I'm truly going to be here for you. But is there any other times where you, like, you felt resilient, or any type of turning points where you felt a shift?
when I graduated, I was going through a lot. When I graduated through high school or whatever, I was just depressed and I was living with my aunt and my cousin, my younger cousin. But I know my aunt I don't think she ever liked it. And I even told her that. And I accomplished something that somebody told me. One of my uncles told me, you'll never graduate. And I did. Out of all the hell I've been through, I still graduated from high school. They can never take that from me. So that was a big I still feel accomplished. Even though I didn't finish college, you could never say she never finished high school. I did. I finished it.
Mm-hmm.
I took that milestone. I did that. And I felt good. Even on that night, even though, I graduated a month afterwards because I had to go to school and get the full, but I still got to walk with my class. So no one knew unless you told them. My family knew, but I felt accomplished. And how my sister, even though me and my sister have a rocky relationship, I felt accomplished that night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. You can never take that from me because I felt like $1,000,000 that night when I walked with my class. I felt like $1,000,000 and I felt good. I forgot about all the hell I went through all those years after my mom passed. I did that. That was the biggest shift for me.
See, and that's where I'm coming for that. I haven't. So I got my GED. I didn't graduate high school, so I didn't get to walk. But I do have to say, like, once you brought that up, it made me click. I'm actually in school now, in college. Shout out to Mount Hood Community College. I was inducted into Pi Theta Kappa Honor Society as a 4.0 honor student. I was on the president's list and the dean's list. Like, I remember when I got inducted into Pi Theta Kappa, I was like, oh my God, Mom, look at me now. Like, my sister has talked so bad about me. She loves to go around and talk so bad about me and the family, about things that I've done in my life to survive and things like that. That it's like, I'm trying to become everything they said I would never be. So
Mhm.
I didn't graduate, but when I got inducted, I actually went in person and they like did a ceremony. So that was definitely like an amazing moment for me as well.
And that is good because you can walk then. I don't care how old you are. You can still walk. Shoot, if you want me to dress up and wear my cap and gown and stuff, I'll walk it with you. I'll find the tassel for the year you graduate. We'll walk together. They'll be like, "What is she doing?" Just so you can feel that moment because you did it. You did it.
Well, I've been in school for almost 2 years now, so I'm headed to graduate in probably another year or so. But I am super excited to get that feeling. That leads me to like talking about relationships. Like, my family has never really supported me. I've always been the black sheep. I've always been the troublemaker. I've always been the one who they said is never going to be anything, and I won't ever be. I won't ever accomplish anything, and I've never been anything in my life but trouble and a drug addict and all this stuff. How did the loss affect like your relationships and connecting with other people? And then like, were there any people in your life who stepped up to support you? Like with me, I had a district attorney and detective from a 2000 when I was 12 years old. I had a sexual rape case against one of my mom's boyfriends, and they stayed in contact. I'm actually still in contact with them now, and I think even though they were doing their jobs, they were the only people in my life who really made it a point to even come out of their life a little bit to make sure that they tried to do for me. But again, after my mom died, I was so caught up in addiction that if it wasn't drugs, I didn't want it because I didn't want to feel, I didn't want to. So for me, my relationships with everybody were just, I didn't really have any.
Wow.
How about your family and your relationships?
Bro, let's go down the list. How much time do you have? As I always tell people, they say, "Don't say that." No, it's the truth. After my mom passed, they didn't have to think it no more because I don't think they ever liked me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they tolerate. I'm gonna say they tolerated me. And once again, when Rose died, they was like, "Oh man, we'll have to think it no more. We have to think it." That's why I'm so close to my cousin. Me and my cousin are 10 years apart. My mom helped raise her. She was little because my mom didn't have kids when she was little.
Mm-hmm.
So she helped raise a few of my her nieces and nephews. And so me and her are really, really close. And my family don't like that. She's like the odd sheep out. But like I told her, if she wasn't so close to me, they would probably accept her a little more. But they have always treated her like crappy too, even her own mom. And I stayed with her mom. And it was just, it's just a lot. I could tell you on and on. They didn't have to think it no more. So it was out. The bag was out.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother, when my mom first passed, I will say that she was there. You had to be there for a while, for a little bit. I'll give about a year she was there. And then I went to go live with her when I was 17. And that was a little rocky. But because, like she said, when I went to go live with her, she was like, you're already grown or whatever. And, I was still in school because I didn't graduate until I was 19 because my uncle that raised me, my mom's brother, actually kept me back in 8th grade. And I was really embarrassed about it because I actually lied to people and said, oh, no, that's my twin sister, because I was so embarrassed because people saw me in the yearbook. And I was throughout the yearbook, so in 8th grade. So when he held me back, it was like a slap in my face. It really was. And it still hurts to this day. I even think about it now. I'm like, dang. So when people be asking, because even when we had our reunion the year before last, I was telling people like, hey, just like, how old are you? This is, how are you that old? I was like, it's 19 when I graduated. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. But my family, they didn't have to match that they got to say their little slick-ish. And they didn't have to worry about my mom's mouth anymore because she would quickly jump to my defense. So they didn't have to hide anything. My sister, our relationship changed because me and my sister was like thick as thieves. Even when we used to try to bump heads with my mom, I was like, no, because if anything ever happens to me, y'all all each other has. And now I tell her she has a constant reminder. I'll tell you about she has a constant reminder because my niece looks just like me and she'll be 3 this year. She looks exactly like me, acts just like me. So I know when my sister and I, we both didn't do each other right. So I won't say it's always her or always me, it's both of us. So, and people even to this day, my whole family blames me like, you're the reason why you and your sister are not close. You're the reason. It's like, I was like, y'all always beat up on me and I'm a young child. I said, so what y'all say to her? She's all right. So we say the same thing I know you do. Because y'all mask her pain because of what my mom, how she raised both of me. So she raised us different. She still loved both of us equally. I was my mom's favorite. I will say that. So my mom would be harder on my sister than me, which I wish that she would have been harder on me. But since I was like her, that's still not a, reason to pet me. But I will say this. What my mom did for me, it hurt me with my family members because they didn't like it. And I still don't think, it's like, don't say that. No, I really don't think they like it. And it's okay. Sometimes it hurts and sometimes it doesn't, because I was like, they did the same thing to my mama. I could sit on here and we could talk about hours how my family did her. And you'd be like, what? And as sweet as she was, and she didn't deserve that. So I get treated like her. So
I felt that because they always said, my grandma, like before she died, she said that she called me my mom's name. She said I was my mom's clone my whole life. Like everybody always like, oh, she looks just like her mom. She acts just like her mom. So it was like my mom was a troublemaker and I was a troublemaker. So it's like we were just kind of the black sheeps of the family. And then it was just like, I've always felt like my family never liked me. It's always been something that was just kind of there. And just like you, once my mom was gone, it just completely became profound. What are some unexpected lessons that you learned from losing your mom? And what advice would you give to somebody who just lost their mom? What do you wish somebody had told you?
I wish they would have told me that the pain never goes away and and when you get older, it's going to hurt more. Because when I was younger, it did hurt, but I kind of masked it with other stuff. But now that I'm older and I'm sitting here, I say, dang, I really wish my mom was here because you don't understand, especially when even when I hear something in my family has said about me. And I was like, dang, what would they say if my mom was alive? They wouldn't say this. They wouldn't even utter these words. They wouldn't say, oh, she's this and oh, she's that. The best advice I could ever give somebody that was their mom, this is what I was telling you, I can't tell you how to grieve or how to be, because I don't know how you and your mom's relationship was. Me and my mom had a good relationship. You and your mom may have not had a good relationship, but I'm going to tell you something. Talk to somebody and consistently sit there and talk to somebody, but when you're ready, so you can get the healing you want. Because everything that you're going through, trying to mask the pain and trying to do other stuff is not going to help. Because my uncle thought us working out and stuff like that is going to take the pain away. No, it's giving me more pain. I don't want that pain. I should have went to therapy. I tried therapy. I didn't finish. I need to go back to therapy because I got a lot of trauma in me, and it's happened since I was 13. So I need to go sit on somebody's couch and just pour it all out and just vent about it. So as always, I tell people, I don't know how when your mom's relationship was, my mom was good. So I don't know if you and your mom treat you bad or she treats you good. But no one can tell you how to grieve, but just go get some help. It's okay. Don't think that this is the end of the road. Go get some help. Take it day by day. Do what you got to do. But definitely, whatever you're going through, just know that the pain doesn't go away. You'll be like, one day you're good, and then one day you're not good. And then maybe a whole week you're not good. And people will never understand. So people, when I talk to them, my mom has passed, they'll look at me like, what? How old are you, 13? One woman told me, actually, with a straight face, when your mom died when you're 13, you should be over that now. I was like, what the?
I hate when people try to tell people how they should grieve, like, especially people that make it seem like, oh, well, you should be feeling better by now. Because I've had people do that same thing to me. Like, I'm just dragging out my grief. And I'm like, do you think I want to feel like, I don't want to feel like this. This is not how I would rather my mom be here, you know?
Right.
What was there anything specific like coping strategies or practices other than therapy? I know that I feel like now that I'm older, therapy is something that I too have been like, ooh, I need to get back into therapy. When I was a kid, it was harder for me to do therapy. Was there any other things that you did that helped? Mine wasn't healthy, so I can't really speak on it.
Listening to music. I love music. I would listen the heck out of a song. My uncle was a Christian guy. He was a pastor. He's a minister. And we couldn't listen to certain music. So my uncle would be going to work or whatever. And we'd be in my sister because my mom got her a radio, I think a year before she passed, because I actually broke my sister's radio. So mom bought her a nice radio. I think it had like 6 changeable CD things. So now immediately I broke her CD player, her little studio player. So my mom got her another. It was a bad system. So we used to be sitting there listening to the radio. My uncle would never know. We'd be sitting there listening to like Rihanna, Chris Brown, or any of like the artists, Beyonce, and we're just jamming into the radio. He's like, well, yeah, this system got some music. So we have where you could say, remember how you could set on the radio which station was which? So we'll always have number one as the gospel station, and we have the other station as the R&B station, man. And I used to be feeling it. And I used to just go in my mind. I'd be like, I'm somewhere else. I'm famous and I'm a singer. And that's where I even go there now. I'll put my beats on and I'm like, when I'm having one of the moments, I'm like, I'm gonna go be Beyonce. I'm gonna go be Rihanna. I'm gonna go be up there dancing with somebody. And I'm just gonna be famous right now. Cause I'm just gonna take away the pain I'm going through. So I dove into music. And that was my mechanism.
Music is definitely on one of my coping skill lists right now. I like to get in the car and just drive and just listen to music. How do you honor your mom's legacy in your daily life or throughout your life?
I act like her, so I mean, I would kind of say how I just be sitting there and I act like an old person. So like you say, my cousin calls me grandma. That's my nickname. She calls me. And I have an old soul. So I've had it since I was a child. And I used to always hate when people say, oh, girl, you act like a grandma. Now I know I'm glad I act like a grandma because I got to go home, take me a nap. Got to go home, give me some rest. Got to do this, got to do that. So I'm kind of like her. I'll literally say when I work, man, the bed is calling. That's what mom used to tell her. And they're like, Auntie Rose, what's wrong? The bed is calling. It's time to go to bed. And people who like, when I say it now, my family laughs. They're like, girl, not you sounding like, bro. I was like, yeah, because the bed calling me. I'm ready to go lay down. So, yeah.
I feel like not only do I carry her within my looks and my personality, but I feel like I talk about her a lot. I make sure I have her pictures. I make sure I like bring her up in conversations. Whereas, and it kind of bothers me, but it seems like my siblings and my other family members, they just kind of forgot about her. Like my nieces and nephews didn't really know her. Like if you showed them a picture, they wouldn't know who she was. Whereas my kids, I really tried to push like, hey, that's your grandma. This is what happened to her. Like I try to like let them know. And I feel like I'm also trying to honor her memory by bringing awareness to the impacts of domestic violence and the impacts of losing a parent early in life. I feel like I am honoring her by trying to be the best person I can. Everything I do, the first person that comes to my mind is like, Mom, like, look what I did. I'm like, I just want to run up to her. I'm still like that little 6-year-old kid, like, Mom, look at this little painting I drew. Like, I feel like I do that within my life, just with everything that I do big in life now. Like when I published my book, I was like, Mom, look, I did it,
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people, they're always like, oh, I don't know how you talk about this so openly. Because people will be like, oh, your mom. And I'm like, yeah, my mom got murdered on the 4th of July. She was shot in the back by her boyfriend. And they're like, oh my God. And they're like, how can you just say it like that? And I'm just like, well, it's reality. Like, can't hide from reality. It is what it is. On that note, what do you think society gets wrong about grief, especially for children and young adults? And how do you think cultural background influences the way people process and express grief?
I'm gonna do it like I do everybody else. I'm gonna break it down from celebrities to people that are just regular people. Because well, I'll say this: celebrities are regular people just like us. They just got a few dollars behind their name. Just think about if your mom was popular and she passes away. You're gonna get people to grieve your mom, and then you're gonna also have some people that be a-holes and say your mom was this and your mom was that. It's the same thing with the people that are just regular like us. Because there's some people that may say, oh, your mom was trash or she was a good person. You have good people and you have the bad people. So society, they make it, they're celebrities and regular people they go to the same thing. Just like MJ, when he passed, people was bringing up his cases and then they were saying he's a good person. You're going to have the good and the bad. And society makes it look like they paint a picture where the person is good. And then when they're mad, they're going to make that person like you want to throw sticks and stones at them. And they want to judge you. And then sometimes when like they'll judge you up until you die, they'll say something really bad about you. They'll say something good about you when you die. And then when they're tired of, coping with, oh, RIP, RIP, let's talk about how bad this person was. That's how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because my family even did. They was like, your mom was a good person and she did this and did that, but she did this wrong. She sheltered you. She did this. But why did she shelter me? Did y'all ever go down that rabbit hole? Did y'all ever do this? And then y'all mask what y'all did to her too. So y'all try to act like the good person in society. They don't pay it right in my.
And I don't even think that society, and I feel like people should just realize when a kid is going through that we don't care. Like, we don't care how people feel about that person. We don't care about the mistakes that they made or, the flaws that they had. Like, we all have flaws. We all make mistakes. Like, that's not something that needs to be talked about. Like, let's not, this child does not care that their parent pissed you off in 1875. Like, we just cared that our parent is dead. What ways have you found joy or fulfillment in your life after your loss? And what are you looking forward to the future? How do you envision your life moving forward?
I want to make my mom proud, even more than I know if she was alive, she would still be proud of me. I know some stuff wouldn't have happened in my life, but I think I had to learn a lot of things. And I'm glad that I did learn. And I'm glad that she's not suffering no more. And I want to write and I want to publish some books. And I just really want to I don't want to sit on my talents that I have. I have so many talents that I sit on. Like I could sing. I don't know if I can really sing like I used to. My mom really encouraged me. So I really want to I don't need encouragement. I really just need to focus and, do what I need to do. I'm proud that I'm still alive. I really am.
Oh, I felt that.
There was plenty of times I wanted to off myself and be like, I'll be free because all the pain I'm going through. And then I'm like, I won't be free. I really won't.
I went through that. The only thing that put me through all that was my kids. I was like, I can't leave them like my mom left me. I don't want them to go through what I went through. So that was definitely how I put myself through wanting to end it. If you could say one thing to your mom right now, what would it be?
You were right when I was a little girl, when I was trying to rush you to finish my hair about things and how people are. But I wish that you would have let me experience it when I was little instead of me experiencing it when I got older because it was hell. But I love you and I wish that I could have, hugged you more and kissed you more as much as I could. And, I didn't want time back with her. I really did.
I feel that. That's my biggest wish, that I could bring my mom back and we could just have time. We could just have that relationship. What's your favorite memory of your mom that still brings a smile to your face?
When she used to call my name and she used to look my face and tell me I made us some food and she loved to eat. Yes, I was one of those greasy little children, face greasy, and they're like, "What you done? Ate some chicken?" And I was like, "Bro, she don't need to eat that. She's getting big." And Mom was like, "She gonna eat. She's gonna be okay." Mom was get up in the middle of the night and go get me something to eat. She'll make my sister get me make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. My mom was that mom.
She sounded amazing. Is there a song or a book that resonates with your experience of loss? How does it connect to your journey?
The 91st Psalm of the book of Psalms. The 91st Psalm. How long I say, when you're going through something, just say it. And in the middle of the day, if I'm going through anything, I just start quoting that scripture. And I just remember her, and she's like, she's reading it with me. So that's just something that I always, when I'm going through it, or I'll just imagine her singing a song that she used to sing, and I'll be okay. I'll be like, yeah, I need to remind myself about that song. I need to remind myself about the scripture, and I'll be okay.
That's beautiful. Mine, of course, would be my book because it resonates with me because it is literally my experience of my trauma and my loss. And that's something that it's hard. Like when you're like, "Oh, I want to write," I'm like, whew, writing it and then having to read it. Oh, that was just it. Ooh, Lord.
That's the tough part.
It's been a lot. That's why I sat on it for a long time. Is there anything else that you would like to add or to say to anybody that may have either went through this or going through this, or even something to people that haven't went through it, that maybe to get them to understand a little bit better?
Well, I wanna honestly give you your flowers because you let me come on here and talk about my grief, and we both, talked about our mom. And it was good to just to talk to somebody because it's always good. I love to talk to you. Now I be on the phone with people like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and know I have to get up to go to work. But I love to talk to people because you never know what somebody's going to do. I can talk to somebody off the ledge, or they can talk to me off the ledge, and they'll never know. We'll never know. But it's just good to meet good people. And you're such a good person. I've seen you on the internet and how you just be, doing your rants, but you're still a good person. I've seen you show love on my pictures, tell me I was beautiful, and you never met me a day in my life. And I really do appreciate you, Miranda. I really do.
I definitely appreciate you.
Here.
And I definitely appreciate you coming on and sharing your story because it's not easy. It's not something that, people want to dig into and feel the raw emotions of, especially losing a mother. You get one mom, and once that person is gone, it's a pain like no other. So I truly appreciate you, your friendship. I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story. As we wrap up today's conversation, Althea and I hope that our shared experiences have shed light on the power of resilience and the profound impact of loss on our lives. While grief is never easy, it's through embracing our pain that we learn to find strength, courage, and eventually triumph. We are living proof that no matter how dark the journey, there's always a glimmer of hope guiding us forward. To our listeners, remember, no matter the challenges we face, there is always hope for a brighter tomorrow. Join us next time as we continue to explore stories of resilience and triumph over adversity. Thank you for joining us on this journey through traumas, trials, and triumphs. Remember, in every struggle, there's strength, and in every trial, there's triumph. Stay resilient, stay hopeful, and we'll see you next time.